Welcome again for tuning into my channel for another video. I have here 5 of the worst shows of the 1980s, and trust me, some of them you'll understand why. Now coming in at number 1, this first one was entitled Life with Lucy. Life with Lucy was Lucille Ball's final sitcom, and unfortunately, it was a critical failure. Since all of her previous TV efforts proved to be hugely successful, ABC agreed to give Ball complete creative control over the sitcom. Bad idea. But the strategy backfired. The comedy failed to take off, earning poor reviews and even low viewership. Though 13 episodes were filmed, only 8 actually aired before the series was pulled from the air. The show was never syndicated again. Or what about the show called Pablo? Coming in at number 2, this short-lived ABC sitcom aired briefly in the spring of 1984. The show starred Paul Rodriguez, a struggling Hispanic stand-up comic named Paul Rivera, and his large Mexican-American family. Now, the comedy proved to be controversial right off the bat, earning criticism for a stereotypical depiction of the Latin community. Following the public backlash, I'm not surprised that the show was canceled after just 6 episodes. Damn. Coming in at number 3, let's not forget about One of the Boys. This 1982 sitcom's talented cast should have resulted in something better, if not actually good. Did not a show voted one of the worst of all time? Mickey Rooney, Dana Carvey, Nathan Lane, and Meg Ryan all starred in the show. Now the premise is that Rooney's character is a senior citizen who refuses to live in a nursing home and instead decides to go to crash with his grandson, played by Carvey, at college. Lane is Carvey's roommate and Ryan is his girlfriend. Awkward. Now the show only lasted a season and was the last weekly TV show that Rooney ever made. Now this one has to be the worst. It's a show from 1987 to 1989 called She's the Sheriff, played by actress Suzanne Somers. Now if you needed a dose of really misguided commentary on gender, then this was the show to go to. Because between 1987 and 1989, Suzanne Somers made her return to television after Three's Company with this sitcom about a woman who is made sheriff of a small town in Nevada after her husband, who formerly held the position, passes away. She has to balance work with raising her kids as a new single mom. All the while, her deputy is super angry he didn't get the job and is constantly trying to show her up. Now, none of the police officers she oversees really think she's cut out for the job, nor do the locals and Ski Town tourists. Good thing it wasn't a lot of criminals around, because all this show really ended up doing is proving the point that she wasn't able to do the job. She's the Sheriff landed in the 3rd spot on Complex's list of least funny sitcoms of all times, as well as the 44th on TV Guide's worst shows of all time. Now here you have Casablanca. Now this 1983 prequel to the classic film only lasted 5 episodes, although it's emblematic of how many networks believe when there's money to be made, they won't leave well enough alone. Not now and not in the 80s. It goes on without saying that no one can do justice to Humphrey Bogart's Rick, certainly not Starsky and Hutch's David Soul. Now the character is turned into a sappy guy who constantly gets involved in the affairs of his bar patrons, as well as any attractive woman who walks into the joint, rather than the stone-faced manly man who doesn't stick his neck out for anybody. Given how good the movie is, it's difficult to imagine just how any remake, prequel, or reboot could ever live up to it. Now the series only saw a DVD reissue to go along with the 70th anniversary of the movie. This show is at number 17 on TV Guide's list of the worst shows of all time. somebody walks into a bar, Ricks get involved in their lives, and they leave again and again and again to the point where the formula feels tired after just 5 episodes. Never knew they made a show out of this. So on to the next verse show. Man, what a weird show this was. This was called The Powers of Matthew Star. Now, Matthew Star is an alien prince with superpowers posing as a high school student. The series ran for one season between 1982 and 1983 and was voted the 22nd worst show of all time by TV Guide. Lots of people from the Star Trek movies worked on this sci-fi sitcom. Harvey Bennett, who produced Star Trek films 2 through 5, was a producer on the show. Also, Star Trek actors were also involved, as Leonard Nimoy directed the episode Triangle and Walter Coyne wrote the episode Mother. Stars Peter Barton and Amy Steele actually beat out Tom Cruise and Heather Locklear for the roles of Matthew Starr and his human girlfriend. I think Cruise and Locklear should probably be glad that, for those flunked auditions.